Good sunny morning. This is Tammy Rundle from Impressors Extraordinaire, and today I'm sharing with you a card that my club is making this week. We are still distancing, but we can still get together and have a good time. So this is the project that we are working on, and it's a lighthearted card made with a couple of stamp sets. First, there's Young at Heart, which is from the annual catalog. And then Thanks for the Laughs, which is actually from the Spring Mini. Let me bring those in here for you. This is Young at Heart from the annual catalog. And then here's the Thanks for the Laughs. And I really like these two sets. I actually had them before the whole COVID thing hit, but I thought it was really appropriate to use these for our project this week. So let's get started in stamping this card. First, let me show you the ingredients and then we'll put it together. So up here to the side so you can see it. All right. So we have our card base, which is half of a sheet of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. So it's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And I used my bone folder. I don't know if you guys have one of these, or if you have something similar to it, to just get a really crisp edge on your cardstock. It just makes a big difference in my opinion. And next I layered this piece, and these are both Seaside Spray. I don't know if I told you that about the base, but these are both Seaside Spray. And I embossed this piece that is just slightly smaller than the base card with the embossing folder. I think it's Brick and Mortar. Yeah, Brick and Mortar. And I am going to, I think, go ahead and glue this down and get started adhering things together. For cards that have a lot of texture, I like to use the multi-purpose liquid adhesive. I just feel like it grasps more of the cardstock, so you get a better seal. One of the things I really hate is when things are not laying flat when they should be. And so this actually gives you a really good adhesion to your card base. The other thing I like about it is it's the multi-purpose adhesive. You get a little bit of time to mess with it. You can kind of move it around a bit. So if you're not exactly where you want to be, you can push and pull. Whereas with the snail or another kind of adhesive like that, it's a little more difficult. So go ahead and press that down well. And before we go a whole lot further, let me point out the rest of the card pieces. This is the piece for the inside card, and I went around the edge of it with the stitched framelits, and I'll show you how to stamp that in just a little bit. This is the piece that these ladies will be stamped on. We're going to do all of our stamping with the Stamparatus too, so I'll show you all that in a jiffy. This is for our sentiment on the front, and as you'll notice, it's way bigger than it needs to be, and I'll show you how I cut that down. And then lastly, well, almost lastly, I've got these two pieces of the Sparkle Glimmer paper that I ran through the Big Shot with the stitched rectangle framelits, and they will be our accents on the front of the card. And then I had this piece of the See a Silhouette designer series paper. I ran it through the Big Shot and I embossed or cut, well, I guess, yeah, embossed with the stitch rectangles. And then I came in and I cut it down. So this is the same size as the front of that layered piece that has the bricks on it. So I came in with the Big Shot and I cut down about 3/4 of an inch on the Big Shot with that same framelit, and I got this piece. I still wanted a piece that was wide, but I wanted it to be shorter. So this is what I came up with. And this is the piece that I was left with. That it's pretty cool. You have a piece that's embossed all around the edges. I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but it's embossed all around the edges. So save this piece and use it for another project. All right. Let me lay those aside and we'll get to stamping. And like I told you, I want to use the Stamparatus. If you are not familiar with the Stamparatus, this is a tool that makes stamping things straight easier, and it also gives you the affordability to, if you don't get it quite right the first time, come back and do it again and it's exactly placed. So I'll show you how that works if you've never seen it before. The Stamparatus has plates that you can mount your stamps onto, so I've done that. And then I've marked on my sheet of paper that obviously is disposable. I've marked on it where I want the corners of my different pieces to go so that I don't have to guess, because these stamp pieces will be stable. They'll stay there the whole length of your project. So this is what I did first. I'm going to go ahead and stamp the inside of the card. So lay it where my dots are. These magnets are really strong, so be careful when you're using them. If you get them very close together, they'll come together like crazy, and if your finger's in the way, it'll pinch it, so be careful. Also, if they come together, there's a potential that they could break. So just be careful when you use them. And the next thing I'm going to do, since I've got my paper placed, is ink up my stamp. And I know you can't really see that off of the camera, but it's pretty self-explanatory. Come down, give it a little press, come back up, and if you like that, which I actually am pretty happy with that, go ahead and remove that from your Stamparatus. And we'll set that aside and we'll adhere it soon. Then I'm going to come back in with the piece that I will stamp my ladies on. So lay that on where these dots are. And then ink up your stamp. Looks like I kind of missed right in here. Let me take that ink pad back. This is the Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And give it a stamp. That looks actually pretty good. I think I'll do one more light inking. I want to get a little bit more bold. And give it another stamp. See how that looks. Oh yeah, I like that. That just gave it just enough. So get this piece out of here and lay it aside for now. And then I'm going to bring in my final piece for stamping. And it's the little piece that has the the front sentiment on it. The one that says, "No one will ever be as entertained by us as us." Do you guys ever feel like that when you're with your friends and you're having the best time of your life, and sometimes you feel like, ooh, nobody else is getting it, but it's all good. We get it, and that's what matters. All right, so then with my plate, I'm going to pull this out and turn it over because I have my other stamp layered on the other side. And I'll come in and ink this. And give it a stamp. Check it out. Hey, wow. I don't think I'm even going to do a second stamping. And that's the cool thing. You don't really ever know, did I get enough ink? Did I have enough pressure? But when you have it on the Stamparatus, it's always in the same place. So all these detailed stamps that if you tried to line them up, just eyeballing them, it'd be next to impossible. But with the Stamparatus, you don't have an issue with that. So I'm good there. And I won't do it right now because it's noisy and it takes a little bit of time, but one of the things you'll want to do with your ink is to heat set it with your heat tool. I found that when I do that, and especially when I'm coloring or if I'm cutting, the ink doesn't smear like it does if I hadn't heat set it or let it dry for a long time. So be sure to heat set it. All right, I'm going to move my Stamparatus. Oh, and by the way, speaking of Stamparatus, one of the things that I really like to clean my Stamparatus stamps with, and the plates too, is the Simply Chamois that we have available in our catalog. It's kind of a really cool tool. Actually, not kinda, it is a cool tool. It really cleans well. I use the Stampin' Mist and the scrub also, depending upon what I'm doing, but I really like this for the chamois. And the chamois comes in one big piece, like this, but I cut mine up so it's more usable when I'm scrubbing off my stamps on the Stamparatus. So just a little note of hopefully helpfulness. All right, and another thing that I want to tell you about, when I cut the piece for the front of the card that has the brick and mortar embossing folder on it, the sandwich that you need to use for this is the platform for your big shot, and then you do not use the thin layer adapter, and you don't use the clear cutting mats. Those can all go away. And then you put down on the platform your embossing folder with your cardstock in it. And then we have this new platform or new mat that is slightly thicker than those clear mats. And you lay that on top. And that works really well with the new embossing folders that are in our new catalog that came out last June. Almost not new catalog. All right, and that done, let's bring in the remainder of the card that I just stamped. And with the ladies, you're going to want to color them, and you choose the colors that you want to use, but if you like the ones that I used, let's see, let me bring the colored card in. So this lady is the Seaside Spray and the Calypso Coral for her outfit. And then the lady in the middle is Daffodil Delight, Real Red, and Blueberry Bushel. And the lady on the right is Crushed Curry and Pear Pizzazz. Those are the colors that I chose just because they made me happy and they kind of coordinated with everything. This card, however, when you make it, is your cards. You use whatever colors you like, obviously. All right, so I'm going to come in and put this together. So with this piece, I centered it on the sides, but I wanted to bring it up a little higher than center. So maybe about right there. And then bring in your piece that's actually colored and make sure it's positioned correctly. And you can come back and color this after you're done putting the card all together, which I think I'll end up doing because I want to show you the whole card together. But it's probably best and easier to color it before you mount it. What I'm going to do next is position my glimmer paper, the sparkle glimmer paper, underneath. And there's no rhyme or reason to where you place this, just whatever pleases your eye. I just wanted a little bit of bling, not a lot of bling. And I think I'm going to get that once this goes together. And then lastly, oh, and I was going to show you what I did to get this piece smaller, because it's like this after you're done stamping. So you're going to take this framelit and you're going to put it in your big shot so that it's close to the edge on the left side. And then I brought it up to just under the bottom of the Y on buy. And I ran that through the big shot. So I don't know if you can tell that by that. Now if you'll notice, there's a difference at the top of the cardstock. So you'll need to then bring this down and come in on the other side. This is going to be up here still. But you need to bring this to be equal with where it was on the left side. And so it is where you want it on the bottom. It kind of mimics where it is, or sorry, on the top, so that it kind of mimics where it is on the bottom when you cut it. So you end up with this piece. I hope that makes sense. It's kind of hard to describe it without bringing the big shot in, but I know you all know how to use the big shot, and I don't think you want to see me shaking the camera around and cluttering and clattering. So yeah, hopefully that explanation works and you can check it out. It's just a matter of playing, guys. All right, let's get this thing put together. So again, bring my Tombow multi-purpose adhesive in. To stick this to the bricks. I really like that brick and mortar. I liked this embossing folder so much, I got 2 of them. Not because I intended to, but I forgot I had the first one and I ordered a second one. So we'll be having a door prize at some point in time so that somebody can have a brick and mortar embossing folder. All right, just kind of lay that there without pushing down or anything at this point. And then come in with this. And with this piece, you're going to put dimensionals on. And I am purposefully staying away from the corners and edges, because as you remember when I showed you where I put my glimmer pieces, I don't want the dimensionals to cover those, because then the sticky picks up the glitter from those and you just don't get a very good adhesion, a complete adhesion. So I put these on dimensionals. And, oh, let me show you something. So this is a take your pick tool, and it has the sticky piece that you can use for picking up sequins and little pieces of things. And then it's got a poker tool, and it also has a flat knife tool. I love to use this if I put something on my card and it's stuck and I need it to come off, I can just put it under that piece and it peels it right off. And I'm going though to use the pokey tool, for lack of a better term, and help it lift the paper off of the dimensionals. I learned this trick from Lisa Curcio online. She did a video for a card that I was watching the other day. She's really good at using this tool with this. She must have done lots and lots of swaps, because it just like went quickly and easily for her. But it is a really cool idea. All right, so layer that on there. Don't push it real hard. Just kind of layer it where you want it. Come back in with your glimmer paper, and I think I'll use the Tombow. I just really like this stuff for a lot of different reasons. It has this tip that's the fine tip, and it also, if you're doing big projects like scrapbooking projects or making notebooks or whatever, it's got this flat tip too that you can cover a lot of area very quickly with. So using the smaller end, put your glue on, and then slide these up under here. That looks pretty good. Nice and even. And then slide this up under the side and have it come down lower. Nice and even. Not too bad, not too bad. And then I'll come back in with this one. And I'm going to end up covering up her shoe, but I'm good with that. And the way I stuck this one on is I put some Tombow here, and then I put a couple of dimensionals on this side. This side, or this piece of cardstock, when you run it through the Big Shot, if you can see my print there, ends up approximately 1 3/8 by 2 1/4 to 2 3/8 inches in size. It doesn't have to be exact. You just want to cut it down so that it's close to your stamps or your stamped image. Grab this thing again. All right, come in and put it over her shoe. And just about done. And when you're doing the inside of the card, like I showed you, I had already stamped, did that first. I like to wait until the rest of the card is done before I put the inside piece in, because you never know, something could happen and maybe it's not salvageable, something that happened in the process of inking or whatever, and you have to end up tossing the card. But then you've got to toss this part too. So I wait till the very end to put the inside in. And then stick that in there. And voila. Your card, pretending this is colored, is finished. So what'd you think? I hope you liked it. I hope it inspires you to use these stamp sets, even if it's not COVID-19 time and we're not quarantining and social distancing and so on. It's just a really cute set. And I love the sentiments in the other set. So enjoy your day. Have fun stamping.